Guys, this is Astropark, and today I'm glad to make this educational video about how to use my fast supply demand order block finder. So, first of all, why it's called fast finder? It's fast finder because it's immediate. It creates order blocks, finds order blocks really very fast. Okay, so let's zoom a bit, for example. Let's check, for example, this when it's created with a replay. Okay, can you see here? So immediately after this big red candle, which is black in my chart, you see the supply was created immediately. So this is why I talk about it as a fast finder. Okay, as you can see in this indicator, the zones are drawn using dots. This way, you have, in my experience, a better look. You can go here to the style and change this as a line, for example, or step line, a line with breaks. But in my experience at TradingView will not draw them really nicely. You can also show the background on the region, okay? And if you enable the background, you understand why I don't use the lines, because you will see this kind of lines going up and down. It's a bit noisy, but if you like, you can have them. You can, of course, change the colors, especially if you used to have a black background or a dark background. You may choose to have something different. So basically, this is a supply, so you can change the dimension of the line, okay, of both the starting point of the zone and the ending point, which is called here the stop loss, okay. In this case, I can increment and decrement this. This is an option that I like very much because so I see very fast where is the end of the current active, the nearest one. Okay, and these are some options to make available less or more uh, zones. So in this case, disabling all the filters you see here, this is immediately drawn as a new supply. But if we keep the filters open, this is not seen as an important supply. Okay, so you can change also these values basically based on your like as you like. Another important thing, I prefer to keep disabled, but you may like it, is to draw here a circle when a zone is hit. Okay, you can also set an alarm when an order block is hit, so you can start buying basically. Okay, so in this case, for example, we are hitting this fresh demand right here. Okay, so what the indicator is saying is that once demand like this green zone is hit, you expect price to hit this region and move up. In this case, first region can be the recent supply. This was an example of supply. Supply hit and price went down. First target is always the nearest supply if demand was hit, but also the upper ones. The same for when a supply is hit. Okay, so the target is always the nearest demand zone, but also the lowest one. So you can see here the supply was formed, and all the demands below were hit one by one. Okay, in this case, an important element and very important element of this indicator is that you can trade basically on a lower time frame, but looking at high time frame zones. So for example, I'm on 12 hours. Now I see the demand zones that I would see if I were in a daily chart. This is especially nice if you trade, for example, on a 1 hour. I want to see the demand zone, a stronger demand zone. So the daily demand zone. Okay, so in this case, you have this opportunity, and if you zoom out a bit, you see the circles will come one nearer the other, so the zone is clearly visible. You can also enable the ground. Okay, in this case we can increase also the dimension. So as you can see here that we were here at supply and we just bounced on a daily zone. Okay, this is a daily zone. Or for example, you can see here the power of a daily zone. So after this peak, so let's move a bit the chart. After this peak, okay, you can see here that price fall into these two demands. First here, little bounce. Bounce was pretty weak because, as you can understand, also, I don't know why I can't zoom here, but basically you can see here is a little uptrend was broken. So we are now in like a downtrend. So it's easy to understand that all the supply zone must be shorted and demands are basically the targets. So here was hit and almost this demand zone was also hit. Okay, in this case, let's move to another chart and asset. So for example, now I'm displaying a 1 hour on 4 hours. So in this case, I really don't suggest to do it because you are on 4 hours and you are seeing 1 hour zones. So this is something I really don't suggest, but I suggest really the contrary. So in this case, let's move to 15 minutes, for example. So it's useful to see 1 hour zones if you are on 15 minutes. So some kind of zones that are really much more important. Okay, so I understand why the chart is not moving. I really don't know. So let's do something different. So this is a trick. Okay, you remove the auto and you enable back. So the chart will not be very. So very nicely, what can we see here? We can see here that all the demand were hit, and this demand also appeared. So the indicator memorized a lot of zones in the past history also. So when some demands start disappearing because they are hit, and once a zone is hit and broken, is not anymore valid. So in this case, the indicator starts redrawing the previous historical important demands. So as you can see, in this dump, all the demands were filled till the lower ones. Okay. So in this case, you can expect price to, especially in this V-sharp recovery, you can expect the price to start hitting all the supply above. So in this case, stop loss below the wick, as you can see here. In this case, once this so when this little flag is broken, price move up towards the supply above. So currently is hitting the psychological level 1800 and is finding some resistance, but once this demand hit, most probably gold will start rising towards higher demands. Okay, let's check some other assets. For example, Bitcoin. For Bitcoin, I prefer move to higher time frames, because the higher the time frame, the most important are the zones, more valid are the zones. So in this case, moving to 4 hour, I suggest as a time frame at least 12 hours or daily. So in this case, 1 day. Okay. So you can see here daily zones. This was great zone, another great zone here, this also, and also this. Basically, this worked inside this wick. This is the liquidation machine that is basically killing traders, and then price started moving up again. Let's move to another asset, for example, Ethereum on Coinbase. For example, let's move to daily, and let's enable the indicator, for example, on 1 week. Okay, so let's move to logarithms to understand better. So in this case, for example, you can see that this supply zone was hit and price went down. The same happened here. Okay, so price was just locked down by this supply zone, and once a demand here appeared, the price just bounced, was consolidating, and breakout, big breakout. As you can see, also the the breakout was stopped, but this whole supply, which was not broken totally, okay, was hit here, but not broken, and now went finally broken. A little bit demand here was immediate hit and price pumped towards previous supply. Okay, and now this weekly demand supported the price in the last dump. Okay, and price is rising again. This is just an example. As you can see, trading on one day, the zones are really more important and more valid. Okay, this is something, this kind of trading. So trading demand and supply is something I really use and suggest. So here another example: fresh weekly demand was hit and price jumped really hard. Okay, supply here was formed but never hit because sellers were too strong in this case, for example. Okay, and this indicator work on every asset and time frame. Let's check, for example, forex pair. Oh, let's move to 5 minutes and let's check. A lot of traders ask me some of this kind of setups. So for example, let's see on 5 minutes here USD using the 30 minutes demand and supply. So for example, here the supply was this demand, sorry, was hit and price jumped. This was a supply that was hit and price went down. So again, I guess this is pretty straightforward, and you can see that it it works pretty good. So if we were on 30 minutes, so this is basically what we were watching, this kind of interaction. So this demand here, we're watching basically, so this demand was perfectly hit, this supply was hit, so a new demand was formed and hit and bounced, and new supply here and price dumped. Where price dumped below the demands that were already broken. Okay, so we may find many more setups like this and configuration list, but you can see this works, and I would be happy to know your comments. What do you think? Please let me know. I hope you liked this video and helped you in understanding how this indicator works, how you can use it. I strongly suggest to have a try on this, and hope again you liked this video. Hit like if you did, and you can also subscribe for more content like this. Cheers! Have a nice day.